Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching across the globe. Welcome to the news on this great Monday, well, midday for us here in the UK. Um, not a great, like as always, not lots to talk about, but we have got something interesting. So before we go into all that, obviously me and Win, we will just do some housework and then we'll crack on with the show. Again, welcome to all that's watching across all of the platforms. Don't forget, if you're on X, jump across at some point and give us the like on YouTube. Uh, again, thanks to all the mods working in the background. Don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoy the show. Just helps us get further as a channel. Subscribe, it's totally free. Hit the bell for any future content. We do 7 days a week through the day with me and Win, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then obviously we've got nightly shows for the rest of the 7 days. If you want to support us and help us grow, you can become a member for a small monthly fee, and that'll give you a chance to win prizes and obviously become, get access to members only substance. And again, if you want to have a look at us deeper, you can have a look at our webpage at nufctalk.tv. And that will literally give you the content as we get it. Try and get it updated as much as we can, as long as the news is from good sources. We don't just put anything up there. There's a lot, obviously, that people put out that is actually false journalism. And if you've got a question for either myself or Win, then please, if you put a Q in front of that question, it just helps us see it in the chat, because obviously there's multiple screens going on all of the time. And obviously for us, it's very difficult sometimes to pick out certain questions as you guys just chat amongst yourselves. Apologies again for not mentioning everybody's chat, because obviously you do talk amongst yourselves. But if you want to guarantee it, then use the $ and follow the instructions from that, and that will guarantee your message being read out. Again, if you become a member or any gifted memberships, that will be highlighted, and we will obviously congratulate you and thank you as we go. So, without further ado, are you good this morning, my mate? Seems
I'm
like
very
5
good. I'm
minutes.
very
Yeah,
good.
seems like only 5 minutes, doesn't it, before we before we parted last night? And obviously with myself, who was totally insomniac last night up until the early hours. Um, Everybody else was going to bed, and there was me sourcing some more news, if you like, until 3 o'clock this morning, trying to find anything we can talk about. And it's like I say, it is very difficult at times to get
Yeah,
some
I,
stuff.
I, wo-
But
I woke up this. I woke up this morning. There were 193 messages in the forum or something. Oh God
yeah,
Almighty! They were at it again, Colin and Roy.
I know. Well, like I
Uh,
say, I've muted it, mate, because I just can't do it anymore. I used to enjoy facts. It's just become very opinionated, especially post games. And like I say,
yeah,
we commented last night on, when you look at stats and then you watch the game as a fan, was the game as enjoyable as the stats state? And obviously, yes, we were in front on many of the stats because we've got them type of players that can create a bit of quality. But at the end of the day, when you're looking for a game to be an enjoyable part of your day, and it doesn't work out the way you want it, it wasn't by any accounts one of our
uh,
best displays. It just puts a bit of a downer on your day, doesn't it? And I understand why people get upset, but I certainly don't take it to heart, and I certainly won't. I won't. I accuse people of not being fans because they obviously have an opinion on
have a different
something
opinion.
different.
Exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, I think
As you know,
sometimes we just
I'm
mustn't.
always glass half full. So as far as I'm concerned, it's an
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant away point end of.
yeah. Well, that's
What
what I said.
was interesting, Gary? We were just talking about it. It was mentioned in commentary, and it was mentioned in a lot of the chat. How when we go to a small stadium, we can't handle the small pitches.
Yeah, yeah,
So I thought I'm going to check this out, and I went to had a look, and from the information I could find, pitch at the Vitality Stadium was 105 meters by 68 meters. And then I went and had a look at what the pitch size is at St James's Park. Guess what it was?
Same as ours.
105 metres by 68. Identical.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then, as we were just talking about, you happened to get the new Premier League handbook today. That's the official Premier League document, which has
gives
got
you
all
the ground stats, everything. Yeah.
everything about every club. And lo and behold, when we checked it in the official Premier League handbook, they concur with my findings that both pitches are 105.68. What a surprise.
Yeah, there's very few have smaller pitches, actually. And the one that I really was surprised with was Chelsea's ground. They're a little bit. I mean, you know, as a player, you wouldn't know it because it is only I think it's a couple of meters shorter in the length and half a meter narrower in width. So there's not much in it. But there is very few differences between any of the grounds in the Premiership because them are the legal guidelines, and they have to stick to that. They have got a few meters or yards, if you'd want to be old school like me and Win, difference, but there's not massive. They have guidelines that they have to stick to.
I think the main difference is, for example, back in the day at Upton Park, the crowd, the distance from the touchline to the crowd is much bigger at some grounds than it is on other grounds. But the actual pitch size is pretty much standard.
Yeah.
Although the FA guidelines do say that it can vary from between 100 to 130 yards long, and then between 50 and 100 yards wide. I do remember back in the day, Bramall Lane, because it was a cricket ground as well. They had, it was only a 3-sided ground back in the day, and theirs was huge.
Absolutely. So,
but no excuse. You can't use that as an excuse now.
No,
I don't
exactly.
think, for the way you play.
That's right.
Other than the proximity of the crowd, of course.
The pitches are all around the same size. Exactly. They aren't like 20 meters difference. That's right. You know, I mean, so obviously it can be intimidating in certain grounds because of where the crowd position is with you. You know, and I think that's what you do get at Bournemouth. I've been there several times, and it's a very homely type stadium. Only holds 11,000. You know, it's not as if you're in front of 50,000 like we are at St James's. But with St James's, because of the way the seats drop back, you sometimes don't get that oppressive feeling as you do at these smaller grounds.
Yeah.
So
the rake, the angle of the rake.
Yeah. It is because it opens the stadium up, doesn't it, when you fall back?
Yeah.
So where on these smaller grounds, the cantilever stands seem to want to be virtually almost above you. That's the difference. But nothing that should stop the game from going ahead. So this morning we woke up, and obviously there was some questions that was thrown at us last night, and I suppose there's always going to be a debate because, like myself, I'm a massive Toon fan. I know Wins, like I say, always the glass half full, and I love him for that. But I always like to have a clear and some type of clarification on certain things. So we've got some points that we're going to fall back on from last night's show. Nothing major. It was just pointing out certain things. But we wanted to start with this one. Because I was gobsmacked this morning when I woke up to this. We're going back in for Trafford, according to the rumours anyway. And these are all from reputable sources. There's nobody out there that is ITK in this stuff. It is literally all reputable sources. And obviously we didn't see Dubravka because there was a question mark about there was some head injury in training, so potentially concussion. And obviously Oddy hasn't really featured since the pre-season games. So the question I have for you, matey, did you see this coming?
It's a constant theme among all the chat, isn't it? About what a shitty transfer window we've had.
Yeah.
where we're saying, like, everybody's sort of quoting 5 goalkeepers and a free transfer, etc., etc., etc. Let's face it, before the transfer window opened, we had Dubravka, Gillespie, and Pope. Dubravka had made it abundantly clear that he wasn't happy playing second fiddle to Pope. He was not happy being number 2. Hence, he got the loan move to Old Trafford, where they were having problems at the time with De Gea. He was also cognizant of the fact that if he wasn't playing, he was going to be struggling to get into his national team for the Euros.
Mm.
Whatever, didn't work out, so he ended up coming back. Good job he did, because obviously Pope got injured. Some would say a bad job he did, because Pope got injured and he had to play. But that's again by the by. So you would have assumed that Dubravka was going to be leaving this summer. As far as Vlachodimos is concerned, I think it's plain for everybody to see that the only reason we signed him was so that both Forest and ourselves could balance the PSR books by overinflating the price of both Anderson going one way and Vlachodimos coming the other way. So that just solved the problem. Vlachodimos was definitely never a target prior to that, but he served his purpose in terms of balancing the PSR books. So you can argue that he's not even in the picture. So if you take Dubs and Vlachodimos out of the picture, you're left with Gillespie. So we do need, as daft as it sounds, no, sorry, because of course we also brought in Ruddy on a free. But as I think we both agree, Ruddy has been brought in mainly as part of the coaching team, as opposed to any idea that he would ever play a game. Do we agree that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got Ruddy, Dubs, Black, Gillespie. I think general consensus is Gillespie isn't good enough.
No.
There was questions as to why he was given a new contract last year, and again there were reasons for that. Or was it the year before? Because he qualified as a homegrown player in the
and that's the likes of Dummett as well, wasn't it? And Richie were both going to get an
the
extra
European
year.
squad. So there was reasons for that as well. Effectively, what that means is all we've got is Pope. If you reckon that Dubs and Vlack are going to be out of the door, then we've only got Nick Pope. So we need another goalkeeper.
Yeah. I think what people are looking at, though, mate, there's obviously a lot. We saw yesterday, didn't we, how one-sided. And I tell you what else I was going to look at this morning, but I didn't quite get a chance. And it was brought to my attention away from goalkeepers about our right winger situation, and I'm going to add that on right at the end because it was an interesting find that doing a little bit of investigation yesterday. And to try and clarify the, I say not arguments, because it's just like I say, a debate, isn't it? Where they play, where they don't play. But regarding goalkeepers, I tend to find that obviously that was our number one priority at the start of the window anyway, was to try and bring in this goalkeeper. Yes, there was a little bit of hoo-ha going on behind the scenes with the PSR. We had to make deals, and it just meant that we brought players in that we just didn't need at the club. And like I said, I don't think, in all honesty, that Gillespie would have been given another year if we hadn't have taken that gamble of finishing in Euros, and unfortunately, the first time in history that the 7th spot doesn't actually get in the Conference League. So it is weird when you look at it from that point of view that the gambles that we've made so far haven't actually worked. Now, there was a couple of people that have said, like, this is ridiculous having six goalkeepers at the club. I don't think you'll ever see six goalkeepers at the club. I honestly do believe, as Wynn's just alluded to, that there is going to be at least two go. And somebody put in the chat that maybe we get rid of Dubs and Oddie to Burnley in part exchange for this guy. And like I said, there's obviously something that's been offered out there because obviously none of them were on the bench yesterday. So I can see in the next few days, so obviously there's only 4 days left after today, in the next few days that obviously there's going to be lots of outgoings. And potentially that might make way, if that happens, for us to start really bringing and concentrating on the incomings, which everybody is asking for. Um, but
Interesting that one of those incomings that's been widely mooted is Nani Madueke, and I think his price has just gone up another 30 million, hasn't it?
Absolutely. The only thing I see with Madueke is obviously he got a bit of a slating from his manager, Maresca, in the public eye, if you like, before the game against Wolves, where he was saying, like, the reasons why Noni isn't my number one go-to at the minute is because his training's not up there. It's not up to par. And he was like saying, like, about he needs to be on par all of the time for him to get in, have a slot. Well, from what I've seen post that conversation that Maresca had at an interview, the lad's done nothing but try. But unfortunately, yesterday, he made himself look a little bit of an idiot, if I'm honest, by posting that stuff about the Wolves area, if you like. There's nothing but shit around here, something like that. Or this place is, and it was just going on to that point. So, and unfortunately, he put it on X under his own account rather than obviously he's got a false account by the sounds of it, because he said, "Oh dear, I've put it on the wrong account." And before he had a chance to take it down and obviously put it on his other account, everybody had took a snap of it, and it was all over social media. And then his comment after that was, "Bloody hell, you guys are quick." And that was it. But like I say, it puts him under a different light as a professional when you see something of that ilk going on behind the scenes. So is Madueke now still one of those players linked to us? I don't think so.
Well, I don't
And
think so. No, do you think Maresca would would want rid of him? No, I kind of see it myself.
no, not at all. I mean, it's at this present
Especially not
moment
that
in time.
not with Sterling apparently on his bike as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, not that Chelsea are going to miss these lads. They're not, are they? The squad they've got, was it 45 players that they can choose
Yep.
from? It's absolutely ridiculous. But at the end of the day, you have got to make it. You've got to ask yourself. We have at this present moment in time, apart from what we've got in the promised land, and that's what we all were expecting, was obviously these players to start coming in to support certain areas. I'm going to take him down now because obviously we've seen enough of
Yeah.
him. But that's ongoing. That's on as we speak. That's on in the background. There's obviously some chats going on with Burnley, but the only thing we're going to see, or probably look at, is if he plays on Tuesday or Wednesday, because obviously if he becomes cup tied, is there any point him coming? Because obviously that limits what we can do as a team in our cup games,
And
and none of us.
Are Burnley playing?
I don't know. I don't
Are they
know.
still in?
They've got to be playing, haven't they? Did they get knocked out? I don't think they
I
did.
don't know. I'm just
We'll
going
have
to
a
have a
look.
look.
Yeah, we can have a look just to confirm it. But the last thing you want is to bring a keeper in. That's just going to put more pressure on Pope having to play more games. It doesn't make sense, that, to me. So it'll be interesting to see whether he does play or if, like I say, they've already been knocked out and he's played Anyway, it doesn't make sense to bring him here. Let's have a look at some of the comments just while you're doing that, and then we'll move on swiftly to something else. Geordie Tune for Life. Good morning, guys. James Trafford linked again. That says if he comes on loan, 2 keepers will be gone. Yeah, I totally agree, buddy. Trolls, if we don't buy a marquee signing this season, we'll not be good and Trafford again. What the F? Are we doing? We need a right wing and a right centre back, but this one I put on how, to be honest. Well, I read this morning, and again, I'm not going to go word for word verbatim, but it sounded to me as if the reasons potentially, and again, I don't know where this source got the information from, and I'm not going to mention names, and I'm certainly not going to mention that this is legit. But there was somebody out there that is saying, is there still an issue between Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell? Because Paul Mitchell has been there's been a lot of question about what's Paul Mitchell doing in the background over these last few days. And obviously, we know it's been him that's been talking to Parish down at not Parish directly, but obviously the Parish crew down in Palace. But they were saying that there was potential players that have been bought to Eddie Howe's eyes that Eddie Howe has not backed because they're not Eddie Howe's choice. So, if I'm honest, and I'm very much a person who looks at people's body language, Eddie Howe hasn't looked great in any of his appearances on telly. He's very much that, and again, I may be reading a lot into it because obviously you can at this point. But since the takeover, we haven't seen this side of Eddie for a long time. Where obviously we saw the conversations that he had before in pre-season in Germany, where he was obviously very much casting out his thoughts. He wanted to be heard, and it's gone really, really quiet compared apart from what we've seen. And obviously, again, we can only assume the Lloyd Kelly was a Eddie choice.
Yeah, but we also had the press conference in Japan where all that appeared to have been planned out, and the boundaries have been drawn. We know where we are. Yeah. Everybody's happy. Da 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 da.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's what I said. But I don't know
that to me
how true this is.
Kind of cleared away all of the negative stuff that had gone on previously. When of course at that time the England job was still very much up in the air because the date for applications for the England job hadn't lapsed yet.
Exactly. And like I said, it does. I still think there's something going on though. I still don't think Eddie's the happy chappy that we saw the last couple of seasons. There certainly seems to be like a little bit of a cloud hanging over him. Ron McFarlane has put down Eddie was trying stuff out yesterday, as I didn't mind Bournemouth getting points if it didn't work out. I don't think that was true. I think what you saw when we did a couple of shows a few days ago, that you could see them definitely training in a different way, and it was trying to get players back once the game had broken down, the ball had gone to the opposition. It was trying to be like a bit of muscle memory, where the repetition creates that memory, and he keeps doing the same drills over and over again with the midfielders. And obviously, Tonali was involved in that because obviously on Wednesday we're expecting to see Tonali make his comeback. So that's going to be interesting. But I don't think Eddie Howe was obviously gifting them points. If you looked at the post match interview, he said it just didn't work. Wherever we tried, we weren't at our best. I mean, and that's what I said. Yes, you could blame the fact that we were trying something new on the pitch, because that was plainly obvious. We kept hold of the ball far too long, in my opinion, in certain stages, and we lost control of the ball too easy. Beer Vikings put down a question. How did Murphy get a 5 on the review show? Lost possession 15 times, lost 2 duels, 4 long balls to nobody, 2 crosses to nobody, 1 failed dribble, and 1 major mistake. Same mistake as the Oklahoma. Well, like I say, Beer, again, who was the worst player on the pitch? It certainly wasn't Murphy, in my opinion. He, he tracked back a lot. He worked tirelessly.
Tracked back very well.
He did a lot for the team. And yes, you could say that whatever you've put down. I've not looked at him as an individual. I've not looked at his stats as an individual. I looked at it as an overall performance from what I could see on the TV. If I wanted to do what I did last season when I had a look at Longstaff against Man United, because that performance was again something that just didn't click for me, and I'm more than happy to go and have a look at everybody's individual performance if you're going to highlight Murphy. I didn't think he was as bad as not Longstaff, as Joe Linton. I certainly think he was better than Joe Linton yesterday. Yes, he made some errors. He made plenty of errors when he was giving possession away. But again, when you're playing on that right wing and asked to track back and support the defenders and everything else, he did get involved. I just think J7 yesterday did everything wrong. Whatever he tried yesterday, whatever he was told by the gaffer to do, it didn't work. He looked a little bit better on the right side of midfield, but for me, I can only put down what I put down, and I went with the majority, and we all put him as a 5. So the 5 of us all saw something that his stats obviously aren't telling you. So that is my answer to that question, mate. And like I say, but I will go over and have a look at everybody's stats individually, just so we aren't just dulling down certain individuals, because we have to be fair and square across the board. Stephen Howe, linked with Trafford again this morning on loan with an obligation to buy, despite having one of the lowest net spends in the window and pushing deals into next year's account. Well, like I said, I still believe that there's something going on behind the scenes regarding money, but I'll wait till January. I know Win keeps and everybody else thinks that we've got 130 mil ish potentially, but there's something not right for me somewhere. Hi, mate. We need a centre back and a right wing. Or wait, let's get a goalkeeper. What we don't need. What the F is going on at this club this summer? Well, you could say last winter as well, because obviously nothing came through the door last winter. So there's obviously something there. Ryan's got a question. 4 days till we have to have the worst transfer window in year. When does Darren Eales take the blame for this? Because it ain't Piff stopping transfers. It's our chief exec overspending, and now we are bust. Well, like I said, are we playing catch up a little bit? We'll have to see. But it's certainly potentially that we've only potentially got one big signing this window, and then obviously maybe loan to buys for next year. And like I said, are we doing something like kicking the can down the street, the same as Chelsea, by not giving them big contracts? That's not what I mean. But obviously, these loan to buys seem to be filtering through a lot more than actual purchases. So watch this space. Lee McFarlane, I suppose there is an argument that the fans are much closer to the pitch in some grounds and players don't have as much off-pitch space to run into. That could make a difference. Well, we've already said that, didn't we? We've already said that some of the grounds that are very close to the pitch. Everton's ground always was one for me where you actually feel. Obviously you can still see the old posts in front of you there when you're at that ground from the roof. So it is one of those depressing type of grounds. Trolls has put down Howe saying not many that can be bought to upgrade our squad is a dangerous thing. To say there are loads that can be upgraded, and I think Howe will be sacked if he goes down this route. I think what Howe's trying to do is not upset too many of the players, as in when you bring in loads of players, and we've seen this at Chelsea last year, where it took them up till Christmas to try and find a routine, a squad. We've already got the squad. What we need to do is add to that going forward. And I understand where Eddie's coming from with that, but will he get the sack for not sack, but for saying the truth? I don't think he will. If that's fact, if he's saying that we aren't going to bring in too many players because of whatever reason, I don't think he'll get the sack for saying that. What he'll get the sack for is not getting results because it's a results-driven industry. And as the coach, you have to try and make things happen. It doesn't come naturally to some players.
I go back to what I was saying. The squad that we have now is a bloody good squad.
Yeah.
And to improve that, you've got to be exceptional. And exceptional players, A, they don't come cheap, and B, they've got to be identified and acquired. And that's not an easy process.
No.
This is why Man City and Liverpool have had very quiet windows, because their current squads are, as we know, are magnificent.
Yeah.
And so I cannot see the point in just spending money for the sake of it to get just to say we've signed somebody to pacify the fans.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting somebody that everybody agrees is going to do the job and fit the bill, no point in doing it. Wait until you can get what you want.
Absolutely. And like I said, I agree with the mentality behind it. I just think at this present moment in time, it just looks as if there's still something hanging over them, and that's where I get to. I just feel as though there's a lot of unanswered questions, and that's what I'm going to say, unanswered questions. And I might put down that we don't have a good squad. Look at us yesterday. Well,
I
you
think
can't
we do
say
have a
that,
good
Harmon.
squad.
Well, you can't say that because we've had we've qualified in 4th and 7th with the same team. You don't become a bad squad overnight. What he's done is introduced new players that have just come into the system that will take time to bed. And as we go through, you will see these players like we've seen. How long did it take Lewis Hall to get involved in the squad? You're not going to have a great game every game, guys. I mean, Man City lost last year, and they're the best team. They're the best club in the world if you look at what they've won. But I mean, it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed a winner, every game. And if Eddie Howe has tinkered with the tactics a little bit, didn't seem as if he pressed as much yesterday. So is that, one of James's Bunce's little things where he stopped the press constantly? You know what I mean? Did you notice that yesterday, Win? We weren't at them from the very start like we used to be
Well,
last
we
season.
were at the start, but mind
For
you,
the 10 minutes.
that was a pattern that we used to see anyway when we had the fantastic season. We used to press, but then we would drop back and have a breather, and then we were at it again like a dog at broth, and then have a breather, and then at it again, because you can't do it for 90 minutes. Even if you're Eddie fit, you can't do it for 90 minutes.
No, it's impossible.
And so we did it for the first. The problem yesterday was that, as first 10, 15 minutes, or 12 minutes, as everybody keeps pointing out, we were all over them. And then we had our breather. The problem was when we had our breather that they were very, very good. But the bottom line is we've played 2, we've got 4 points. We've done that all season. That's 76 points.
Absolutely.
That's top 3, top 4.
And there was a thing that I put out to. I'm not going to be able to find it now because there's been so much chat going on. I'll see if I can. Did you notice that yesterday last night that I put out there the graph that was oh, I don't know, I think I've just gone past it. Oh, there you go. I have got it. Bear with me a second, guys. I'm going to put it up on the screen. This graph proves the point, if you like. Let me just put this up on the presenting file, because then we can see exactly. And like I say, it's 2 games, so you can't go on 2 games and see exactly where we are. But correct me if I'm wrong, guys. And you look at this graph that we've got up on the screen now. When I look at this graph and I see, obviously, if you look at the top part of the screen here, it's
Can you
obviously the
magnify
white
that,
is.
that a bit, Gary?
I will do in a second, matey. I'm just going to show you. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
So just so we can see and clarify what the bars are at the bottom, because obviously when I magnify it, you're going to lose what the bars are. So that the white is this season, the black is Howe's best season, finishing 4th, and the green part is last season. So we've got to look for the top push. So if you go to the bottom on our, if I can get it enlarge and lift it up. So on Eddie's best season, according to what we've done so far, we've got exactly the same points. So which is 4 points. So when we finished 4th in our first 2 games, we had 4 points. And that's what I'm saying. You're not going to set the world alight, and you can't predict anything after 2 games. Because this projection that you can see here with this white line, which is where obviously we want to be, is nobody's got a glass ball. It's just hindsight. This is like a prediction if we carry on doing what we're doing. So, like I said yesterday in the chat when I just threw this on, because obviously there was a lot of doubters. When we critique a game, or well, me personally anyway, I critique a game as I see it. I don't want to be one side or the other. I want to be completely open and honest as best I can, because to me that is supporting my club. If I turn around every day and said we are rubbish every game, all I'm doing is throwing the tar across all of the players that played in that game. And not every single player had a really bad game. It just looked very awkward to me. And it looked very awkward as if the fact that whatever Eddie Howe did, the lads were struggling to get into their head, which made it look very awkward, which made us look, we carried the ball far too many times. We lost that momentum far too often. We didn't seem to have another plan. From whatever Eddie Howe had set out at the outset in training, it seemed to stumble us for some unknown reason. Now, people say, he's always going to give Bournemouth points, and that's absolutely rubbish. You, as a manager of an ex-club, sometimes you've got more impetus to win because you want to stick it up them. Eddie Howe's not that type of manager. I understand that, because it's his old club and he's well regarded down there. But you've also got to look at, it's just 2 games. And if this graph isn't anything to go by, I'll go by it and say, listen, at the end of the season, if we can finish 4th again by having 4 points in the first 2 games, I'll accept it every day of the week. What's your thoughts?
I'm just seeing this just coming in here.
Oh, Sven.
Sven's died, yeah.
Yeah. I know he wasn't very well at all. I didn't realise he'd gone this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, bless him.
I've just double checked before I put it up, and it's there. It's
Yeah. I'd heard there was lots of people saying all the best type of thing, but I hadn't actually seen that he'd passed. So yeah, like I said, it's not all doom and gloom if you're looking at where we are regarding the club, and I think that's something that you need to take on board as fans. You can't say it's a bad season after 2 games, and that's all I'm going to say. And I just want
to. There seems to be a real groundswell of negativity amongst the fans, and I just don't get it. Because the other thing that I find when I go to the ground, that negativity is not there. Everybody in the ground in the build-up, your pre-match and everything, everybody's happy clappers, if you like.
Yeah. Because
you get all of this negativity, it appears to me, in social media that doesn't exist on the terraces.
Is it too much expectation?
I can understand people being frustrated at the window that we haven't got a right winger in, that this gay saga's been going on for weeks now, it appears. But so what? We're still so much better off now than we have been for many, many years. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. But I understand people's frustration because we seem to be stalling a little bit. And I do think it's high expectation, and like I said, unfortunately, with the 2 seasons that we've had prior to this, it's as if we expect to be up in the top, 2 or 3 all of the time. And at this present moment, I believe it's a transition process going that way. And don't get me wrong, I don't think PIF for one instance is in any minute going to just say, well, my time is up. It's got nothing to do with that. And people will question, what happened. It seems to have stalled since Amanda and Gerdad had moved away. But again, yes, I do believe there's something not right. I'm not saying it's all rosy in the background, but I don't understand why there's so much anger and doom around what we've done so far. Like, yes, there is players that need to be moved on, but unless people are willing to buy them, it's very difficult when they've still got 2 years on a contract just to say goodbye. And I think you saw yesterday the likes, unfortunately, of Miggy, only having 2 minutes. I think that's probably going to be his future. I don't think there's a lot there to offer anymore. And I think maybe Eddie now has to be hardball because, unfortunately, like everybody states, we didn't perform until the substitution came on, and there was some movement across the squad. Let's just go back into the chats. Our mate, just remember, Win said we got to go top 2 without
We'd
signings.
get top 2 without any signings. Yeah, I still maintain we can be up there or thereabouts without any signings. I still maintain that, Army. Yeah.
No need to kick off about it, folks. Oh, yeah, man. Game 2 and unbeaten so far.
Exactly.
But Wednesday's game, we all expect a much better performance. And there's the word, expect. You know what I mean? It's not a guarantee. It's just an expectation. Better performance for sure. No excuses.
And we certainly expect a better performance. I think that's a given. Yeah. But as opposed to expecting a better result, we're playing Nottingham Forest, or a Premiership team who are just about level with us in the league, and we're playing them away from home. And we are supposed to expect to be turning them over. Where's the logic there? We are Newcastle United. Where is the logic to expect us to turn Forest over at the City Ground?
It's going to be difficult, mate. That's what I said. This year, for every year I've seen in the Premier League, and I've put in Premier League because I keep getting told off for saying Premiership. All right, I've got your message. And it's really weird because, like I say, there's no easy games anymore because everybody will take points off everybody throughout the season. That's something that you can more or less guarantee. There is the lesser teams, but those lesser teams will still kick up a fight and cause you trouble. Omar said, lucky to get 4 points, but we move on. I don't want to see Jacob Murphy near the team, sorry, except from smiling and being a joker. He isn't top quality.
Well, again, if you look at Jacob Murphy's statistics, Bjerregaard's put his stats up for one game when he maybe wasn't at his brilliant best, but last season top top
And
creator in the Prem.
yeah, but he was also in the pre-season, mate. He was outstanding, and
He
that's what I
was,
said. You can
and
only
he was
go on what you
scoring goals
see.
as well.
Yeah. That's what I said. You can't really justify. Yes, he hasn't got the overall quality. We know that, but you can't just paint a bad picture on one game. If I'll only gets Trafford, get him out. That's not in. That's not good enough. And Isaac, Bruno, and Gordon, he's gone. If that's all we get, they will go in January. Maybe Bruno stays.
Well, I don't know.
Um,
I don't know where why you think that, Truls.
I mean, there's going to be a big question mark on Bruno at the minute because obviously he's just had the captain's armband, and is that weighing too much on him? Is it changing the way he thinks about his game? Is it I want to say like is it oppressing his thoughts where before obviously he was a very free flowing type footballer. Now is it the fact that he's got to look at everybody else and make sure everybody's toeing the line? It's going to be difficult.
The problem on Saturday yesterday for me was on any day, any match day, there's going to be 2 or 3 players who have an off day, but to compensate for that, you'll have 2 or 3 players who have a brilliant match. So you can afford to carry the 3 that are having a slightly off day by the performances of the rest. The problem yesterday was that as a team, there was nobody who had a blinder. My man of the match, as you know, was Isaac.
Mm.
Uh,
Mine was a
but,
substitute.
but sadly, he had nothing to feed on because everybody else was having a bad day.
That's a really good point there from Jake. I'm going to put that on in a minute, buddy, because you make a really good point. And I work on a couple of things. It's not if you look at the team as a whole, our pre-season, we won majority of them. We lost one game. Now, obviously, we've still got a lot of our first team players that have still got to have minutes in the legs. They've had some time away from the squad with the Euros and the Copa. And to me, it looks like they've been affected. Not so much the lads from the Copa, but definitely the lads from the Euros. I mean, trips come on yesterday, and for whatever reason, people will take their own opinion on it. It looked like to me that he played potentially his last game. I hope not, because he showed yesterday the type of player that lad can be. And if he doesn't have to do it for the whole 90 minutes, if you can get 70 minutes out of that lad for the rest of this season, he will give you a different service to what we've not had. Because when he's not in the side, as you saw yesterday, his dead ball situation is very good. His all round play is very good. He links up well between defence and attack, and he always looks to progress the ball forward rather than backwards. And I think that's a talent that we need, and we just haven't got a replacement. I don't believe yet. I think he's got one to go forward, but I don't think he's there yet. Um, but like as Win just said, when you look at the squad as a whole, you can't expect too much when a lot of your midfield, and I'm going to go right across the midfield, have a poor game. Because you put, like I said it from day one, they are your gateway to attack and they're also the door opening for your defence. And I also alluded to yesterday about us against the tactic of 4-2-3-1. We always seem to struggle to find them little spaces, those little pockets of space to progress the ball forward. And it was evident yesterday to the point where Isaac had to go out to the right wing to beat the left back. 2 or 3 times to get any success whatsoever. And then what you had is obviously Gordon coming into the middle rather than going back stick, where he'd got a very similar tapping option than he did for his goal yesterday. So there's loads of little things, and that if you look at the real positives of the game, it actually could have been a totally different scoreline. If we'd have come away from there, even playing as we did, with a 2-1 win, the comments would be totally different. Even playing as we did. And that's what I said. You've got to be an open and as open and honest as you possibly can from what we saw. carrying on with the chat. Max Emery. First, it was a falling out with Ashworth, and now it's Mitchell. To me, Eddie's the problem, and it's his way or the highway. And he hasn't won anything in his career to warrant this attitude.
Depends by what you mean by win. If you're talking about
Yeah.
trophies, yeah, true enough.
Yeah.
But getting Bournemouth from virtually extinction to the Premier League and keeping them there for several seasons on a shoestring budget on crowds of 11,000, I think that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting the relegation-bound Newcastle, totally relegation-bound. No team had ever not won one of the first 9 matches without going down. Eddie took that team with virtually the same players and took them to 11th. Next season, getting them to Europe. That's okay. He hasn't won a bit of silverware. Carabao Cup final, didn't perform on the day. I think that makes him a pretty damn good manager in my eyes.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. And I've just, sorry, while you're talking there, buddy, I'm just
There's
trying
Roy. I used to think we were 2 or 3 players from competing. I was wrong. I think we need 7 minimum now. Roy, I think you're talking rubbish, son. 7 players. Which position do we need 7 players in?
I
See it tonight. We'll discuss it tonight.
Yeah. You're always going to have, I suppose, people will question whether we've got enough depth in the squad. And, we've all said about Joe Linton being the general in the middle of the park, and he had a bad game yesterday, and it's all this thing. And like I said, you can't judge it from the game that we saw yesterday individually. Everybody had a poor game. They had some good points, but everybody on the whole had a really poor game. And you're going to get that. You are going to get that in every squad. It's just not your day for whatever reason. Things just don't work out the way you want it to work out.
Kind of find that there was somebody in the chat there was saying, something about Man City. You can't compare us to Man City.
Nowhere near.
Man City were able to come in, spend what they wanted, build up the best squad in the league. No FFP, no PSR. Same with Chelsea with Abramovich. We can't do that.
No.
So it's going to take time.
Absolutely. Trolls, I'm angry, to be honest. This isn't good enough at all. If we get a marquee right wing and Gay, I'll change the way I look at how. But at the moment, I'm just angry. And I think that's exactly how everybody feels. It just feels as though
how is it
putting
Howe's
too
fault?
much.
How is it Howe's fault that we can't get a right winger or a centre back?
I don't think again, is there an issue between Howe and Mitchell? We don't know. Is Mitchell bringing signings forward to Eddie Howe to have a look at, and Eddie Howe is saying no? I don't know. Is it the finances? I don't know. Nobody will know the question that you've just answered, or asked, I should say, because it's all in the dark. I just think there's something that is stopping us going forward at this present moment in time, as in the signings, because we are still reliant on Gahey. And there's been no other mention apart from obviously people just throwing out certain sources that we're looking at this right winger, that right winger. They're all younger players. I just don't feel at this present moment in time. And don't get me wrong, I'm not poo-pooing it. I just don't think at this present moment in time there's a calmness in the backroom staff, and that's all I'm going to say. Right, win almost the same 11 for 2 seasons.
For 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Everybody else did improve while we are stuck on the bench, right? We finished 4th. And with PSR constrictions, we spent the maximum amount that we could. We got Livramento, Lewis Hall, Harvey Barnes, and Tenali. Every one of them is an improvement on what we had. There's 4 players that were had. Not Eddie's fault or the club's fault. Well, you can argue it might be the club's fault or lack of due diligence with Tenali. That neither Livramento and Hall were bought for the future because we already had the best defence in the league. Tenali and Barnes were bought to improve the attacking side in the midfield. Tenali essentially to replace Longy, and Barnes for the left wing to replace ASM, who was sold. But in the interim, Gordon, who was also signed potentially for the future, blossomed more than anybody could possibly have hoped for, which was a good job because Barnes got injured. So our 2 big signings from last summer were essentially missing for the whole season. So how can you say we haven't improved? We've got those. I was going to put up a breaking news banner. Newcastle signed £60 million player from Italy. And that player's Tenali, because we'll have him this season. We didn't have him last season. Thank you, Mighty Mag.
Yeah, indeed. Mighty Mag, thank you very much. That's gone to Kieran Ray. So welcome
Kieran
along
Ray,
to the...
a name I don't recognise. Hello, Kieran.
Absolutely. Welcome along to Members Club. Please continue your membership, guys, and everybody else in the chats. And please also, while you're around, hit the like button for us. We're having a little bit of obviously a lull in the chat, but please hit the like button. It'll just help us along the way. But no, thank you so much, sir, for gifting that membership.
Niall saying, win, just for clarity, I said we need to be taking 3 points from bottom half teams to get to elite level, man. So you're automatically assuming that Bournemouth aren't going to be top half, which they finished 10th last season.
Yeah.
Anyway, a point in the Prem's a good point.
Some will say they've improved the squad, even though Solanke's gone. Some will say that even Nielsen's a better forward than him.
They spent 127 million in the summer.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I know. And that's the difference. I think we have to,
including the Brazilian centre forward to replace Solanke.
We were looking at. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the people just think that Bournemouth are a bottom half club because they're a small club. That mentality's gone now. Like I said, you don't finish 10th if you haven't got a strong side. And yes, it took Areola a long time to get going, but since he's got going, he's done absolutely wonders with that club. Edio will soon be a forgotten name at Bournemouth, trust me. Tools, we need to improve our squad. It isn't as good as we think. There are 16, 17 good players. The rest isn't that good. Yeah, there is some point to that. But you can't change what's happened to us. And I know people moan about, saying about the past. These things don't happen overnight, guys. We can't just become a Man City or an Arsenal or a Liverpool or a Chelsea. It's or a Spurs even. It's impossible to grow the club that quick. It's going to take 5 full seasons before you even see and even denting the surface. I think what we've already achieved is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Correct.
But we have got a really, really long way to go before we can even count ourselves anywhere near the big guns. A really long way to go. Queen, good morning, sweetie. Morning, hope you're well. Feeling the need to get anything off your chest, please do it respectfully. I already had my dose of it this morning. Thank you. As good morning, afternoon, please hit the like button. Yeah, exactly. Get it off your chest, but please be respectful. At the end of the day, you've got to understand. Yes, we are sitting here, and yes, we will talk about certain points. But then we both supporters as well. And yes, sometimes like yesterday, both me and Win, when that goal was disallowed, thankfully on our behalf, we both slumped in our chairs because it was like, oh, here we go. We were both deflated. But there comes a point where you've just got to look at, and that's why me and Win have decided to come away from the after show, after match show, if you like, that Chris does, because sometimes you need time just to dissolve some of the information in your brain and understand where it was coming from and have a really good look at it, rather than just go into a review show post match and just go, because it's easily done, and then it just becomes can become an argument, if you like. But I do. Oh, sorry, mate. You were doing it. I was doing it. What have you put up there?
I like Eddie Howe, but if Dan Ashworth saga taught us anything, it's that one person shouldn't have total power. Other people, such as Mitchell and Steve Nixon, should be allowed to choose options too. What makes you think that they're not? You know, I don't know who thinks they know what's going on backstage at Newcastle. I certainly don't.
Well, that's what I said. It's all a mystery, isn't it?
But I'm pretty sure that Mitchell and Steve Nixon will be having that. Let's say as Steve Nixon did before Mitchell was appointed.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, maybe excuse me, these guys are actually seeing what I read this morning about the potential Mitchell bringing in lots of players for Eddie to look at, and Eddie has, poo-pooed the idea. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but there is obviously something not smooth anyway. I'm not going to say not
All
correct.
this negativity is draining me. Come on, man. We're top six in the league after 2 games. What's your
2 games.
Problems?
I know.
Was I happy with yesterday's performance? No, I wasn't.
No.
Why wasn't
not
I?
At all.
Because too many players had poor games.
Bad game. Yeah.
Form is temporary, class is permanent. I don't expect J7 and Bruno to have poor games like that again. We've got Tenali coming back on Wednesday. If he can get up to speed, we've got the beautiful dream fixture of Tottenham on Sunday. What's not to look forward to? Come on, man, smile.
Sorry, I was reading other comments while you were talking. I was concentrating. I was miles away. P88 has put down, Phil, we will lose one of the big guns next summer if no progress is made this season. Plus, side to that would be more wiggle room in the future windows.
The plus side to that would be more.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
Darren Eales already said that, didn't he?
Everybody knows if we don't get Europe next season, we're going to lose the big guns. I think that goes without saying. And as I've said, I'm still very much behind Eddie Howe. But if by Christmas, with the start we've got to the season, we aren't within 3 points at least of top 4, I think we should be in top 4. But if we're not within 3 points, he's got to go. Simple as. Because that's based on the fact, as Harmeet alluded to earlier, that I honestly believe the squad we've got, Roy obviously doesn't believe it, but I think the squad we've got right now is good enough to be top 4. We've proven it's good enough to be top 4 because they've been top 4 without the additions that we've now got.
Yeah.
From that period of time. So Eddie has to prove himself in that regard, and I've got every belief that he will. Now then, one of the things that I said Eddie had to do this season to improve from what happened last season was with a much bigger squad, and we alluded to this before the game yesterday. We said, look at that bench, look at the options we've got. Well, we're all quite happy with the team. Yep. And we said, if you look at the bench, look what he's got to choose from on the bench. Now, to me, what he eventually did was right and proved to be right because we got the result. What he didn't improve on for me was taking as long to do it. I think it was evident that those changes needed to be made by half time at the latest. And so I would have made some of those changes at half time. And for to leave it as he has a tendency to do until much later on was a mistake in my view. Now, hopefully he'll learn from that. Hopefully he'll say, well, I can make changes a bit early. Da-di-da-di-da. If he doesn't, and if the results that come from those decisions are not favourable, then he'll be out the door. That's simple. But right now, I'm still quite happy to put me 2 penneth behind him.
That's fair.
Because he did get it right at the end.
Yeah. It took him a while, but you're absolutely right. It did. We did get there in the end. And like I say, and I'll keep saying it. I don't think there's going to be an easy game this season. Apart from, again, we say about the lads coming up from Championship into the Premier League. They should be easy 3-pointers. They're fighting every game. I mean, like I say, who'd have said that? I mean, yes, Man City went on to win, but if you watched Ipswich, they went and got a sneaky goal, and were 1-0 up, and everybody was a little bit open mouthed when that went in. But obviously, the quality of Man City did turn them over in the end. We seem to have a lot of starred chat. This is what I said. I love the news shows because we do seem to get a lot of good chat going on. Anyone heard of the fallout between Gordon and Trips?
No.
I haven't, but it wouldn't surprise me because both of them aren't looking great at this present moment in time. There is certainly something happening, but I didn't hear or I haven't seen that there's been some issues between the two of them as a pair. Whether that was in the Euros or whatever's happened behind the scenes, what's been said, we don't know. But I will have a look at that now. Ryan again, sorry, we don't have a great squad. Our defence is bad. Our midfield is no creativity, and our front line is goal shy right now. We look like a relegation side fighting if you don't improve, you drop off.
Relegation side, 4 points from 2 games.
Top 6. Oh, okay. But listen, that's what I said. Everybody will see where we are totally differently, and that's what I said. We have to respect it. It's an opinion, and if we had got 6 points, right, with the performance that we've got now, would we still be talking the same? Would we still be saying we are relegation fodder because we've got 6 points? No. But if we still had the same performance, that's what I'm saying. Because don't forget, yes, they had a goal disallowed, but we could have had 2. Burns was superb. Bruno's effort was superbly saved from Neto. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. We could have quite easily walked away from the Vitality yesterday with 3 points, playing that way.
When have I said I want House sacked? Ronald, when have I said I want House sacked? Don't know where that's come from.
I think is he alluding to your comments about if we're not within 3 points at Christmas?
Yeah. Oh, definitely then, because he's not doing his job.
Maybe that's what Ron's alluding to. I don't know. Stephen Harker. Some of these opinions are bordering ridiculous. Eddie only chooses English. He hated Ashworth, Isaac Botman, Tonali to name few foreigners. Oh, and we are bust after offering 65 million for Gay. Like I said, I would hate to think what the comments would be if we were the bottom 3 as we speak now and lost 2 games. I mean, last year that's what had happened because we had we won Villa 5-1 and then we lost 3 games back to back, and I didn't see this much negativity then. But it just proves where people.
Simon Jordan could be right. Entitled Geordies.
Well, that's going to stir up a few hornets' nests, I would imagine. Just say Simon Jordan
instead of realistic.
BT, at least Ashworth got the deals done. I am not sure about Mitchell. We should have sold Miggy and Longstaff and kept Anderson and Minte. You can't sell players if they're not sellable assets. and that's fact. We had to act within the 11th hour, if you like, because we were going to guaranteed lose 12 points. So in that situation, you go with your gut feeling and you go sell the sellable assets. And the only two that were interested, and like I said, it was a negotiation with Anderson on both parties to both parties get out of jail. So you have to understand the bigger picture. Yes, you're absolutely right. Get rid of Miggy and Longstaff if that's what the club want to do in the long run. But you can only sell them if they are sellable assets at the time, and at the time they weren't sellable assets. And again, you can go back
They're
in
only
history and
sellable if
say,
somebody wants to buy them.
wants to buy them? Yeah. John Mitchinson. I haven't seen your name before, John. If you're new, welcome to the club, my friend. Please, please, please don't forget, guys. You can subscribe. We have lots of. Is that Mighty Mag again, or is that a new one? Has he done another one? Excuse me for a second, because I am just
I'll have
gonna
a quick.
have a quick look. I think Mighty Mag's done a. No, it's not. It's the same one. It's just that my screen's froze on the other one. It's the same one, buddy.
Right.
John Mitchinson. Have I just lost? I've just lost the other lad's question. I do apologise. I'll look for it again in a second. The goalkeepers are complete and utter farce. Gillespie organised the Xmas party and the stag parties. If you want to be a top side, you don't behave like this, in my opinion. Well, I agree with you. It feels as if it's a bit of a strange situation with the goalkeepers, but I think there's a reason and a rationale for why we've done it.
Well, we
Um,
started the show with that, didn't we?
yeah,
We had Dub doesn't want to be number 2, so everybody
he
expected him
wants
to be
out.
gone. Vlachodimos was there purely and simply to balance the FFP books, and Gillespie was given a contract because we were expecting to get into Europe and we needed homegrown players.
Yeah. So it does look a farce on paper, and I suppose to the two away fans, it would a laughing stock. But it doesn't make it right. Steve NUFC, do you think it's possible Piffo waited until January before they decide to spend, as they're a bit uncertain about Eddie being in charge, and performance between now and January will dictate that? It was something we brought up a while ago about obviously Eddie Howe's potential move away to England. But would that stop PIF from buying players? No, I don't think it would. I think, like I say, Eddie Howe has marked individual players that he obviously wants at the club that he believes he can work with. And I do believe that Eddie Howe has this coaching coaching system where only certain players, and I'm not looking at players with ability, as in their foot ability. I think Eddie Howe looks at players that have got the mentality rather than the ability as well, and I think that's the difference. And I think that's where Eddie Howe goes to when he keeps on saying about improving the squad, because I don't think he's looking at the overall improvement technically. I think he looks at the overall improvement in the mentality stage as well, because
Attitude is so
yeah,
important to him.
he likes that level-headed player, and that's why he's looking at Gay. I mean, the reports this morning of Gay, even though it looked very much like he was saying bye-bye to the Crystal Palace fans at the end of the match, he's come out this morning in his interview and he says, what's your feelings about Crystal Palace and everything else? Puts him in a bit of an awkward situation, and he went, I'm very happy at Crystal Palace. But I don't think anybody expects him to say anything different, because at this present moment in time, he's still a Crystal Palace player, and he's not said a word to his manager about him wanting to leave. He's not making any noise on social media. He's not doing anything wrong, and I do think that makes that type of player in the in the attitude, mental attributes more of a I suppose I would say more of a player for Eddie Howe, but it's not. It's the type of hallmark that Eddie Howe looks for in a player, and then the quality he hopes will come with it. And I think that's what we're getting. If you have a look at our squad as a whole, from top to bottom, you can't really pinpoint one player with an attitude. We saw it a little bit with Anthony Gordon in his first 6 months when he come off and obviously he wasn't happy about being subbed. Be interested to see how Tonali goes because obviously you get sometimes that Italian feistiness, and especially obviously with the news that's just come out of him having a breakup from his girlfriend. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Michael, Joe Linton had a shocker. Didn't think he knew where he was. Probably still running around the Vitality as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult, as we said
Unusually
yesterday.
for him. I think that's his.
Yeah,
I think it's generally regarded as being his poorest game since Eddie put him into the midfield.
oh, by far,
He
by far.
was shocking.
I've never seen, and that goes across the whole of the, like I say, the mid three. None of them had a great game,
Yeah.
and that's what I said. You can't just finger out one player. Mansell Hansel, how hated working under Ashworth, and he's doing the same under Mitchell. All signings are Eddie's choice, and it's hurting our transfer window. We need to let Mitchell bring
That
in
is
quality from abroad.
pure speculation.
We don't know what's going on. It's not a good squad. We have strong starting 11 when everyone is fit, but you can't say it's hard to replace players like Longstaff, Almiron, Byrne, Kraft, and Murphy. Well, it is hard if you haven't got the pennies in the purse. And the last thing you want is to start doing what we did in June. And I think we have to be sensible about how we get rid of these players. I honestly believe that there will be outgoings. Where the outgoings are, I don't know. But for me, I can honestly see that there's going to be some players go out before we get a crew in, because we're just not the big enough squad regarding the PIF restrictions to have wages coming out of our backsides, and I think that's what we've got to be careful of, not to run before we can walk. Ryan, I'm sorry, your identity shows your football, and we look like we ain't bothered, and we have no identity to high press. Nothing we are. Right, right now, Eddie has to fix it or leave. I'm sorry, your identity shows your football. Was that my football knowledge?
I
I'm not
don't think
quite
he's
sure what you're
referring to
trying to.
you. I think he's just one's identity shows what it shows your football.
Yeah, but
You
it's like
know,
I
and
said,
what was it? Intensity is our identity.
identity. Yeah, but like I just said, if Bunce has come in and said that he's contributory towards some of your injuries, maybe it has curtailed. Maybe that understanding of where we have gone, we've had to change direction slightly. So it is a change of identity. And that's going to be a good thing going forward regarding potential breakdown of the squad. Individual players that can't cope with the stresses that they're under. And that's what I said. You can't expect them to be running like they do for 90 minutes under that high press. Not until we've got the depth of squad on the bench that can, as we saw against Bournemouth, change the game. And that's going to be an ongoing thing. I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of these questions. Eddie's way too slow with the substitutions. He's a good match coach. He sets a plan and
He's
crosses
not a
his
good
fingers.
match coach.
Yeah, that's what I just said. He's not a good match coach. Well, we said that yesterday. You
Yeah,
were saying he should have made substitutions
yeah,
before
I
half
agree
time.
with that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, but Gary, our first two games were Southampton and Bournemouth. We should be getting 6 points. Why should we?
Well, why should
You
we?
know, I mean, there's no guarantees. I mean, if we'd have
You've got
lost these two
you've got the
games,
whole of the chat saying we've got a shit squad,
yeah, yeah,
and then and you're saying with that shit squad
you've
I'm
got to
not
get
saying
six
that by
points.
the way, but the
No,
whole
no,
of the
no.
chat saying, well, sorry, it's not the whole of the chat at all. A good proportion of the chat are saying we've got a shit squad, and yet you're saying we should be taking 6 points. How do those two tally? How do those two statements tally?
Yeah, that's right. Jake, Curtin, another one I haven't seen. There was positive. Takes a few games to get going. Do you think playing weakened teams in pre-season is the cause for the chemistry and cohesion? Yes. I also think the Euros and the Copas haven't helped us whatsoever. I don't think it'll
Yeah,
be. I think it'll be half a dozen games before you see us hit the ground running as a force. Um, but yeah, I totally agree with what you stated is that there. I think there's been a lot of interruption this pre-season, and as a unit, we just aren't there yet. Steve Harker, arrogant to think we can walk over Bournemouth at the Vitalia, established Premier League team, and beat City at home. Very difficult place to go, Bournemouth. Will finish 9th or 10th.
there you go.
There you go. Ryan, see, that's what I hate. You go on about Eddie Howe. It's not about him. It's about our squad improving like other top clubs do, and we've done it. FRP. He's off LP. What I don't know what FRP is.
I don't
Uh,
either.
Squad improving like other top clubs do, and all we've done is FRP. I don't know. But
Don't know.
anyway, when you say all I go on about is Eddie Howe, he's the only person who's going to get sacked out of all this is Eddie Howe. So surely he should have some say in the players that come in. It can't just be the background staff or Steve Nixon or whoever just saying, "Oh, he's a player. We've paid for him." You've got to look at it from the whole picture, Ryan. It's not just about you know the backroom staff. Yes, they could bring players forward. If you want to support a team that buy a player for players' names, then look at Chelsea and look at the situation that Maresca's in. You know what I mean? They don't even ask Maresca about what he wanted. They just bring players in and just say, put him in your squad. It, I wouldn't want that, if I'm honest. I wouldn't want that at Newcastle. Um, and to be fair, could we afford to do that at Newcastle at this present moment in time? No, we couldn't. Um, Amrit, good morning, buddy. Well, good afternoon now. Good morning, guys. This season we were got into the Champions League. We want to push on from that. We want silverware, and we want to be the best. Granted, it will take time. We need to be patient. So no expectations too high. I see on BBC it's saying that this transfer window is the least spent. The Premier League are killing themselves with PSR. It would be more attractive if the clubs could spend.
Indeed.
That's exactly what's happening. Unfortunately, the stranglehold. Oh, we are Ryan again. Sorry, mighty win. You're a flip flop. You come out with we will walk it. We will be top four by Christmas. Now we don't get easy wins. I'm sorry, but keep your standards.
I'm saying that with our squad, we should be top 4 by Christmas. I'm not flip
Um,
flopping.
you're that Frenchman, Philippe Flop. I told you last night. You're AKI, Philippe Flop. No, Powell. Afternoon all. We want to be elite team. The mentality has to be expect 3 points every game, bar your Arsenal's, Liverpool, and City. Well, if you want to be an elite team, why have you got to take away Arsenal, Liverpool, and City? The only way you're going to get to the top is by beating these teams. So I don't understand that as well.
Mm.
To compete, you've got to compete with all of the other 19 clubs in the Premier League. In 2 games, Murphy has played 88 minutes, including stoppages, and has given the ball away over 30 times. Okay. Well, like I say, he's not having the greatest of Premier League appearances. He had a great pre-season. And obviously, until we have a change, I'm just going to stop it there for a second because obviously we're going on. Now, I had to dig a little bit of digging yesterday because obviously we were saying about right winger situation and how we changed it halfway through. When you get the situation like we had yesterday, where Barnes come on and we saw Gordon go over to the right wing, obviously that's where he got his goal from. And then there was a question. We've had questions previously about we need a right winger. We need a right winger. What got me thinking, and I did a bit of digging. So I went and had a look on last year's Amazon program, and in the Amazon program, have a guess who was bought for the right wing for us?
Anthony Gordon?
Absolutely. Now, if you have a look at there's an actual part of that document, or sorry, documentary, where they're having a discussion on the screen. You actually see Anthony Gordon, his age and everything else, position right winger. for Newcastle United. Now, what happened was because of Barnes' injury, predominantly he played left-hand side because obviously we hadn't got with Willock and everybody else not being available. We were very limited on the left wing position, and he did really well. So obviously, there's been a lot of
Really,
people start
really
saying,
well.
"Well, just really, really well." So why would you move him? But what I'm saying to you is predominantly he was bought for a right winger for us. So it makes you wonder whether that now, if there's no movement on that right wing, and we have the potential then to say, you know what, we'll concentrate on one, maybe two positions, um, and bring a younger, more talent, a talented youngster coming in as an understudy, as we've got now Zanussi on the left side that could potentially play to support Harvey Barnes. Is it an option if we don't bring a
Well,
right winger in?
personally, I would do it the other way around, but that's exactly what he did yesterday, and it worked. So,
Yeah. I mean, it
uh,
looked balanced, didn't it? It looked very
my
balanced.
my adage is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
They'll
So, if
fix
you've
it.
got a
Yeah,
fantastic left winger, why change it? But
absolutely.
if we're not going to get a right winger in, which I still harbour hopes of
Yeah.
before Friday, um, give it a try. Well, there is no
Absolutely.
alternative but to give it a try.
No, and that's what I said. It just made me have a look back and say, why was Gordon brought to the club? And it states on the picture in front of you. It's a document that they've obviously put out, and you've got a nice young picture of Gordon before he went blonde, and his age and everything else, and it's got position RW. So it was an interesting spot, if I'm honest. Um, and it's a case of having some clarity on where we go forward because, like I say, if we are going to start bringing these youngsters in, as Mitchell's trying to push the youngsters to get more first team game time, and I know that's going to also upset a lot of the people in the chat because people always want to see that next level brought into the squad, but again, we've got to grow as a club in every position. Um, I think that still won't be enough for us to be deemed as a big team at this present moment in time. I still see the top six. I still look at the top six as being our target. I put us in fourth because I thought that was going to be certainly something coming in. But as we speak, I'd be happy with top six as we speak as at this present moment in time. Um, let's have a quick look. CR65 would win Sacco if we were 4 or 5 points off Champions League at Christmas.
Yep.
So you're gonna be harsh. You're gonna be harsh. You're gonna
Yeah. I've said 3 points with us because the second half of the season's a lot harder than the first half of the season.
yeah,
After
absolutely.
Christmas is what I mean. We've been very, very fortunate with the fixtures. If you look at the difficulty ratings for them all, Newcastle, as opposed to last season, where we had the hardest start of any of the clubs in the Prem. This season, we've got just about the easiest.
Yeah. I agree with that. Niall has put down, I'm keeping cool. Sorry, I'm keeping my cool. I haven't gone all out on Eddie. I'm giving it time, but if performance don't improve within the next month or so, I may be calling it before Christmas.
Exactly the same as me, Niall.
Albie, the team's improving every year, so it's how it should be. The peeps whinging need it to relax and be patient and trust the process. Great show, guys, as always. Smash the thumbs up, people. We're the lads. Thanks, Albie.
Thank you,
Like I
Albie.
say, that's probably a good point. And we've got I mean, to be fair, we have got so much in the chat, guys. It's great. But like I said, we'll be We'd probably be here till 4 o'clock this afternoon if we went and covered absolutely everything and what everybody's saying. So again, I do thank everybody, and again, apologies if we haven't quite covered what you wanted in the chat. But like I say, we've only got a limited amount of time. But I did want to finish on one thing, if I may, and I suppose we could finish on a couple of things. But as I was saying yesterday, about the way um, Trips left the field. There was a great view of somebody, one of the supporters, and again, now I've watched this and I've watched it a couple of times. Um, is it Bruno responding as a captain to Trippier the way Trippier played, or is it Trippier saying goodbye? I'll leave it up to you guys um, to make your own decisions.
Yeah. Hoping that's not a goodbye message. Hoping that's not the final time we'll see him. Still a bit undecided. I felt like he's probably done enough to. Yeah.
Interesting, wasn't it?
New chant there as well for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, I do feel I do feel as though he's got a big decision to make now. It's going to be
Well, he has.
him. Yeah, it's going to be up to him. What Foxy's come in here and just supported Paul Mitchell. Paul Mitchell has been in the job 2 months. The window is obviously very frustrating, but you judge Mitchell after the summer transfer window. Next year's, let's be fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
The voice of reason, as always,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Hodge.
As always, he always comes up with some good stuff, Foxy. As he always does. I'm just going to have a quick look to see if there's anything that is anything else. Right then, let's go on to the next subject. And like I say, I've got a couple of things that I wanted to bring into play. Nothing of any note, but you know what we were talking about yesterday when we said about the handball that was disallowed for them,
Mm-hmm.
and I said it's subjective. You said it was objective. So what again? Me being the way I am, I always try and clarify an understanding, if you like. And the reasons why I said it was subjective is twofold, and I'll show you this now because this is from the PGMOL. This is their guidelines of what they're stating, and I'll just put it up and I'll bring it. Oh, if I can. It's not letting me go any closer, to be fair. So in this box in the top right-hand corner, you can see exactly what the definition of the hand or arm is, according to the referees. For the purposes of determining handball offences, the upper boundary of the arm is in line with the bottom of the armpit. Now, that to me is subjective because when your arm is raised or lowered, even though your armpit is obviously fixed to your chest wall, your upper body motion will automatically take your armpit in a different angle. And if you looked at the goal yesterday, where the player led over the top of Byrne, he brought his shoulder forward, and that's why I said there was no point during that video footage from VAR that proved where the ball hit the shoulder or
And
the
I
arm.
disagree because I think you can say exactly where it hit the arm, not the shoulder.
Exactly. So that's what I said. So from your point of view, you were very much on the ball hit the arm, not the shoulder. And all I wanted to do was prove how difficult it is for anybody that's a referee or a VAR official, because this makes it subjective. because there's no definitive rule. There's no factual evidence. You can't see where the ball landed on the shoulder. In actual
Okay.
fact, now there's a hold on a second, Win. If you have a look, I know you're not a member of X, but if you have a look at a lot of what people were saying, is they're saying it hit Burns' arm, not the defender's arm, whoever scored the goal. So
you saw the still that I did yesterday for that, and it
yeah,
proves
it's rubbish.
conclusively that it hits.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You will always have an opinion on where it goes.
But hang on, Gary, because what you're saying is that the position of the armpit changes depending on where. Well, on that graphic that you've got there, if you move your cursor on the right-hand gadget, move your cursor to where you think the armpit is.
Well,
that's with the arm down.
Yeah. So if you look at here, when I'm doing CPR and I'm working on the chest and I'm working on the heart, I use your armpit and go central for a quick response. Okay, because I know it's a fixed object. Does that make sense? When I'm in motion, if I do that, is my armpit in a fixed motion?
With relation to the rest of your body, yes, it is.
It is, but it's moving, isn't it? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's still in the same place.
It is, but what I'm saying to you is when I lift my shoulder up and I come over the top of another player, my shoulder, which is not handball, comes down, right? And I'm leaning forward. And that's what I said. We know it wasn't his hand.
No,
and what I said was subjective. Yeah. And what I said was subjective was exactly what these guys have written here. Definition of handball is if it's in line with the armpit. Now, not being funny, your armpit, nobody will ever see where your armpit is in that situation because it's being blocked by a defender.
Can you see where your arm is?
Can you? Yeah, hold on. Can you see where the defender's armpit is in that shot that you put up?
Well, I can certainly accurately gauge where it is. Accurately.
You can accurately.
It hits his bicep. Plain as day.
Well, I'm glad you've seen that because 82% said it was a handball.
Well, 82% are anti-Newcastle. What a surprise that is.
I don't think that you can say that. All I'm saying to you is when we were talking about subjective and objective, I think the definition that they've got up there.
All I'm saying is if you put your cursor where you think the armpit is in that down situation, it's in exactly the same place in the up situation.
Yes, I agree. But if my arm was up there and it hit the shoulder here, when it comes down here, look, it's in line with my armpit. When it goes up there, it looks like it's off my shoulder. When it comes down there, it looks like it's in line.
That is off your shoulder.
But here, I'm on my arm.
Yeah, look, that's not a
handball. I'm on my arm. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah,
but I'm saying that's not a handball. That's your shoulder.
But I'm touching the top of my bicep, Win.
Well, look, you're touching the very top, the very top of it.
That's what I'm saying. It's subjective because that is in line with my armpit. Because I'm a fat boy.
Where the centre of the ball hits the kid's arm yesterday, it's halfway down the arm, man.
I'm going to agree to disagree because, like I said,
the only thing that I was very interested in was did it touch his head? Because if it touches his head at all, it's a goal, but it doesn't.
No, exactly. It doesn't.
Frame by frame, it never touches his head.
No, but what I'm saying to you is, as a Newcastle fan, right? If that was us in that situation, would you be saying it was handball? Be honest.
Say in the replay and the freeze frame as I've done, I would be saying yes.
Okay, then that's what I'm saying. All I
I'd
wanted
be
to
pissed
prove
off, right enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that I wouldn't have a complaint.
I think and this is what I said. I think sometimes you've got to look at it. I have to look at it from both sides of the coin because at the end of the day, if we all agreed on everything, it wouldn't make a show. And I look at the rules. And that's why I classed it as subjective, because the rule itself makes it subjective. It's not fact. And I think that's where we've gone. Before, we used to use the shirt sleeve, and as daft it looks, you could use that. And that's why they changed the rule to your advantage, because you've only got to get your manufacturer to increase the length of your shirt sleeve a little bit lower, as long as it's above the elbow, obviously. And that could make the difference between being a handball and not a handball. So they changed the rule again.
Tony T in The Revenge of the Crumpet Man.
Yeah.
The ball hit a bit of both. What's the rule? 50-50. If the ball
isn't that subjective?
If it touches both, if it touches your arm, it's a handball. Even if only 50% of it touches your arm, it's a handball.
But all I'm trying to show you guys, and like I say, I'm not arguing with Win, and I'm not arguing with anybody in the chat. All I'm trying to prove is it's bloody hard work, whether you're a referee or you're a VAR person, to come up with some of these ideas. And you could understand, as a fan, if that was against us, we would all be up in arms, because we'd all say, that come off his shoulder, man, that come off his shoulder, that was never handball. And because it's for us, we get the other way, and because that's what happens with life. And that's all I'm trying to say, is it's very 50-50. Hence, I said yesterday, it's subjective. And that's why I wanted to bring the rule up, because the rules have changed. But there you go. And finally, what I wanted to do was just a little bit of fun before we say goodbye, because it's as always, we seem to always seem to run to 2 hours, and I don't know how we do it, Win. But it's because obviously we enjoy each other's company so much.
We love talking shite.
Absolutely. And the last but not least is, don't worry about Joe Linton. He's found a new career. And there you go. And to be fair, I did say he was lucky to get not to get a red card for that. And having watched the video back and forth, in actual fact, the yellow card was exactly all it deserved. Because when it first looked from the one angle that I saw it at, it looked like he clotheslined him around the neck. But in actual fact, when you looked at it from the other camera, his arm coming over the side and grabbed his chest. So the referee actually got that one completely and utterly right.
And I loved his jazz rap.
Absolutely. Like I say, he took one for the team. Like I say, guys, thanks ever so much for joining us today. Like I said, there is nothing major happening out there, apart from obviously the Gahey saga continues. Watch the space with Trafford. The Trafford seems to be rolling further and further down the hill. And again, like I say, we're on again tonight. When is that, 9 or 10?
And just on that subject, by the way, Burnley play Wolves on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, I thought they had definitely got something going on. Guys, thank you so much to everybody in the chat. Some great stuff. Like I say, we don't certainly come on the show to rub you up the wrong way, but without your individual thoughts, it makes the show boring. And both me and Win love to
keep it coming.
Yeah, we love to try and
we'll batten them off. Boosh, boosh.
It's all about understanding people's opinions and going with what they feel, and that's what it's all about for us. It's about giving you guys, it's your channel at the end of the day, giving you guys a voice to speak to other like-minded
as long as there's just a touch of reality of where we are and what we've got to deal with PSR wise and all the rest of it.
So just to confirm, I believe we've taken away the insiders.
We all want the same thing at the end of the day. We all want the Toon to win.
Absolutely. So we've taken away the insiders. I can't remember what Chris has renamed it. Chris has put in the chat that it's at 10 p.m. So please come. Like I say, ring the bell, because if you ring the bell, you'll get all our future content. And obviously there's Chris's sister channel, which is Uncensored Premier. Is it Premier League Uncensored or something like Premiership Uncensored?
Yeah.
It's all about.
It's about the whole of the Prem, not just Newcastle.
Yeah, it's not just Newcastle. It's all of the Premier League.
Total Football
then
Uncensored, I think. TF
Football
Uncensored.
Uncensored. There you go. There you go. That's the one. Football Uncensored. And then you've got like our channel tonight. As I say, we've changed the name of it, so keep an eye on it. And then from there, you will be. Look at him. He's knocking me now because I've got a brain injury, and he's like, Jesus, man. Yeah. Thanks, Chris, for reminding me. Like I say, I am a lemonhead.
Football Uncensored. There you go.
Yeah, and he's put it in there. And we've got the match preview. What's going on, man? We've already done it. Oh, it's obviously for the Forest game.
For the Forest game, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. We've got the 10 o'clock preview for the Forest preview game, and then obviously we'll go on again about everything that's happening during the day, I would imagine. And me and Win again. I'll see you tonight at 10. And then if you want to come and join us, we'll be here again on Wednesday with any other news that comes our way.
Hopefully, we'll
anyway,
have some news.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, we'll have a signing. We'll see.
And there'll no doubt there'll be a press conference a pre-Forest press conference to discuss as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Thanks, guys. Thanks to everybody that's watched online across both platforms. Again, before you finish, just find a way to come on top of YouTube if you've been watching on X, and give us the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell just before we leave. Without anything else said, thanks to all the mods in the background. Thanks to the gifts that have come our way, and thanks to everybody contributing to making this show exactly what it is. Well, it's a goodbye from him.
And it's a goodbye from him.
Oh, the one. That's the one. Okay. See you later, guys. Take it easy.
Bye-bye now. How are you, the lads?
And lasses.